Good afternoon, everyone. What is going on? Coming at you today, Tuesday, with a special edition. Stocks trading trends. It happened today, y'all. Yet again, Palantir new all-time highs. A big move today after their earnings. First time $1 billion in revenue in a quarter, and issuing some amazing guidance. Did Alex Karp and the boys from Palantir last night. Continues to be the best stock, basically, in planet Earth. Valuation is obviously a concern, but future has a different premium that we pay for day to day, especially with running markets. So let us get into some things here, some single stocks that ran. It wasn't just Palantir, but we will take a look at that chart absolutely, I say. All right, so trading trends today, August 5th, 2025, as the summer continues to roll on. BRBR, KD, and 4. We'll take a look at these charts. Maybe some of them are new to you. These got hit very hard today. If you were short them, congrats. If you were long them, ouchies. And then Palantir, Pfizer, and Lemonade. So you had some big move out of some big pharma and insurance today. It wasn't just Palantir. So let's take a look at everything here. Always love the single stock. Really great names and great information. We're coming to an international show. In the meantime, as I pull this up, there you go. Okay. So first, this is the intraday chart of SPY. We'll get to that in a second. But first, big moves again. Palantir. What else can you say? One of the absolute best stocks in the market, up there with Nvidia, honestly, and a Meta, Microsoft, Broadcom, and Robinhood take my leadership awards for the best stock of the markets, best stocks in the market of heavily traded ones, not Rigetti and sub $20 computing stocks. Other things. AMD slides about 1.5%. We'll take a look at the S&P, like I said, in a minute. Meta slides about down 1 2/3%. Microsoft down 1.5%. Coinbase down 6%. We'll take a look at that chart. It's been getting hit a little bit. UNH at 4%. There was a rumor that Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, is getting into a stake here. Stock continues to look like absolute trash. Probably near a bottom, but I will be late on a move in a name like that. Not super interested. 4% move today. And Broadcom down 1.5%. Taiwan Semi down nearly 3%. All right, so first off, quickly, the intraday chart here on SPY. We basically, kind of fell out of bed, I'll say, in a way, in the morning. The low came at 10:45, and then a nice rally here, especially at 1:30, 1:45 above VWAP. We were up as high as 6:30 on the day, but when all was said and done, at the end of the day, we shed about 0.5%, and we closed beneath VWAP. As I zoom out here, to put things in perspective, the longer view, I am still of the mind here as I look at my charts. Right around August 14th is my date here. I know Prop Cycle Span on X, he does a different kind of like an 89-day cycle, I believe, and he has his going on August 11th or the August 14th. I have mine for a bearish distribution date ending on right around, like I said, August 14th, and right around $627 where we are today. Again, like I said yesterday in yesterday's video, we were trading as high as 633 today, and yesterday was as high as 631. I said we're going to be somewhat tethered to that 627 line. I believe. I don't think it's going to break away from here. I think we consolidate and get our legs underneath us through the end of next week. And to be honest, after that, I do think we head to 6,400 S&P or 640 or thereabouts by the very end of the month. So, and that would be a new all-time high for SPY. So that's what I'm seeing. Stochastic momentum mix a little bit lower here, but still nothing really to be super concerned about for that. Okie dokie. Let's get into some of these single stocks. Some of these movers were absolutely gargantuan. Let me get into the big movers up first. Lemonade. Again, earnings are going on right now. So there's corporate earnings going on, being reported by some of these firms. Lemonade, in case you guys don't remember, don't know, that's the insurance firm, and they're in the U.S., Europe, and what else? Renters and homeowners insurance, building, car, pet, life insurance, etc. These guys are a $3 billion company now, but a heck of a premium given to them off of just $560 million revenue in a year. But they do have great earnings. They did report this morning. They absolutely blew it out of 29%. Look at this candle, and a great looking candle throughout. A chart. These guys peaked on Thanksgiving at $54, and then a bit of a drawdown. I'd say kind of scary moments from April through May. Some ugly trading here, but very constructive resolution, honestly, higher towards 34 handle, and now a huge breakaway upper Bollinger Band close. Hasn't happened since the previous 52-week high of November. So very interesting. This one, to me, fully targeted, even if you're super bullish, would have been that upper Bollinger Band 45. You get a little bit of that vol expansion. Maybe you get to like 46. Right now it's at 48. So I personally don't want to chase it right here. This name has just looked at a little bit heavy right around 40. I don't really, again, here it's really not had a ton of time above 40 even. So want to see as congratulations if you're in this move today. It was a 30% move, absolutely, enormous on a multi-billion-dollar company. But this still looks like to me that this could head to 40 in about a couple weeks. So this is going to be massive. Congrats, like I said, if you're in it. I'm not going to chase it here. It's probably, again, and it went as high as 49.29, and they closed at 47.99. And a beautiful rise of 200-day moving average. I just don't like the entry here. If you get into 40, wonderful. Again, this thing's been under 40 for many days for the past several days, and I mean, it was under 40 essentially from Jan all the way through June. So maybe the old ceiling becomes a new floor. Okay, next one, Pfizer. Big move here. Let's see if there's a trade in this one. Pfizer up 5% today. That is a big move for Pfizer. This is a very low volatile stock usually. Of course, these guys are, the $130 billion Goliath here. What happened today? Earnings, or I'm not really certain what exactly happened today, but it's got to be earnings, I'm guessing. But a 5% move. Let me look at this chart. This it's probably got another bullish 2 weeks to go, honestly. I think it does try and make a move to that 200-day moving average, sliding down 25.26, but that's probably where the buck stops. But this looks like it has more to go. If you're very, very, carefully tactically trading, I do think there is another, 2% upside of this in the next 2 weeks. I think that's going to happen. Does it go higher? Possibly gets to 25.5, but and again, this is Pfizer, a low ATR average true range stock. But Pfizer looks like it's got a little bit more to go, and it looks like this run really started back 4 days ago at 23.35 or so. I think this has a nice 2 weeks or so ahead, Pfizer. Okay, then what everyone's talking about, we've been long this show, talking about this for many months, best stock on the market. I told people last summer, cocktail hour, stuff like that. If you're going to buy one stock, it's Palantir. My gosh, all-time highs today. They took this thing up as high as after earnings here, up 7% today, or almost 8%. I took it up to 176, and then they took it down. They closed at 172. Bullish confirmation here. RSI over 73. Nice to see. Stochastic momentum mix riding high. Volume not typically what it used to be, as far as I can tell here, but that's A-OK. I know these folks are long. Just simple technical analysis. You look at a chart like this, you give it the benefit of the doubt. It's above a massively vertical, basically rising 200-day moving average. What can you say? This has not had an issue all year. In terms of entry, because that's how you have to deal with a name like this. In terms of entry, I'd much rather see you in it at about 154. I know that sounds maybe crazy because now it's trading 172. Possibly you get your chances in the next, when I say, they're going to step off beta possibly for the next week and a half or so. Maybe they give you an opportunity, a name like this. It's probably going to be super difficult, but around 154, I think, is a better entry. And then that still gets you to a target of about 167 for me here, fully targeted. So, of course, people are super bullish, bulled up, and exuberant for the earnings last night. But I personally would wait for a better entry at like I said, right around 154 for this guy. Maybe happens on a volatile day in the next week and a half. Okay, the names that got hit today. This is an interesting one. I actually used to own this one. These guys make the power bars. An amazing chart. And when companies fall out of bed, they really fall out of bed. I bet a lot of folks don't even know this brand. So these guys are called Bellring. I'm 90% sure. Let me just pull this up. Bellring brand. So I used to own this. And they make Premier Protein, Dimetize, and Power Bar. Yes. So these guys are a $7 billion company. The chart was absolutely insane on a $2 billion revenue. The problem is the financials are not so good with the company. These guys peaked in January rather at $80. You look at the chart here, this thing really flies. In August of last year, it was 53, and like I said, in Jan it gets to $80. The earnings came out here. I don't know if it's costs or layoffs or the cost of cocoa, whatever was going into the products, but they had a damning earnings report on May 6th that sent the stock down 19%, and earnings really confirm your move in many situations, higher or lower. Palantir, you see what it's done, and that goes up and to the right. And then look at this. So and the market gives you so much forgiveness. Strike one, strike two, strike three, you're out. So this earnings, they sent it down 19% in May, and then these guys just had earnings again, and the reaction was today down 33%. So folks not liking the tape, 52-week low, a 13 RSI. That's hard to see, considering that there is a convergence of moving averages up here at 58. So just absolutely amazing. There will be a point where this company that does $2 billion in revenue a year, bounces back. To me, I mean, the lower band for me on this in terms of sell-off would have been honestly closer to 49 in terms of an ugly sell-off. Would have sent it still to 52 lows, but instead they sent it to 36. I just want to see what the heck happened. Are they killing people with their products? Let me see here. How bad was the earnings? I just don't. Shares unravel on narrow guidance and profit erosion. Tariffs for dairy protein to hurt their fourth quarter. Expenses weigh on earnings. So just a messy situation around the company. Pick your spots. The investors have said don't stay in this. And you would have really been, there's really no reason to stay. Last thing on the story, no reason to stay in this after May 6th because just under a 200-day moving average. But it was still just due to the amazing rise it's had. And you could see this maybe not in a Palantir because it's a superstar. But when stocks have an amazing ascent like this, you give it the benefit of the doubt until the 200-day moving average starts to roll over. And I'm looking at the numbers because that's important to me. And that happened right there, July 7th. This little totter, this creeping death. Shout out Metallica. But right here on those lows, really, there was really no need then on any of that, June 26th, to be in the stock yet. So that's BRBR, new 52-week low for that. Like I said, Palantir all-time high. Okay, let's continue. Kyndryl Hldings down a huge amount, down 21%. KD, Cupcake. No, I'm kidding. Love you, Durant. KD, these guys are the tech services and IT company. They're $8 billion, over $15 billion revenue. It's almost like a value trap. Absolutely great looking valuation in terms of the stock. These guys peaked in highs just a month ago at $44. And again, a big earnings report last night sends it down 21%. Personally, I thought even for an ugly scenario, they would have sent this below, honestly, the 200-day moving average. I thought this was going to hold at 35, but they sent it all the way as low as 28.67, and it basically closed there just 1% off the tops, or off the lows, rather. So, yikes. Ugly stock. They really took this to the shed. Possible. This looks like a messy week and a half. I don't like a 16 RSI. Not a long line of folks to get into this one right here, right now. I think they eventually will, but the flows do not look good. And this has been really just an exit since really right after the highs. It reminds me of the S&P back in February, March. This thing hit 44, tagged it, and said buy. And now it's a 28 handle. So it's probably not a bad pickup under 35, but I don't like it. This is going to really make people lose their hair, and I don't have much to give for that anyways. All right, last one. Shift 4 payments also down big. This thing was down 15% today. Shift 4 payments are in financial services. They're payment processing solutions and provision of software. They're a $9 billion company on $3 billion revenue. Today, down 15%. Earnings related. I didn't think this was going to go below 95 on a sell-off. I didn't think it was going to buck and go beneath its 200-day moving average. And instead, they took it all the way down, actually, to 83. And wow, markets are extraordinary. This thing peaked in February at 127, and then had a hard time, honestly, from March all the way through end of June. I would say this just started cementing its recovery. And then today, earnings really seem to really have derailed it. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I think this tries to base this week around that 95 line. I kind of like your risk reward. I don't think it absolutely tanks from here. And the 2-day moving average has been somewhat reliable, at least to be tethered to it at 97.5. And my calculations show here, at least this is should be getting towards 95, which is the lower Bollinger Band. So could be a nice $9. Again, I'm not specific on the earnings here. Obviously, they were atrocious, but let's just say shift for what was the moving headline? How bad was this today? Double miss on Q2 results. Issues above consensus Q3 guide. I think there's a trade here. You're gonna have to be really patient, but I do think this probably heads back to 94 over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. This is interesting. This thing has been on the move. I like the stock. Issued a recommendation on this a while ago. I think when the year started in my chart advisor writings. Reddit up 37% in the past 5 days. These guys are a $37 billion company. They reported earnings last week, and boy, have folks absolutely loved it. They sent it up 7% on the earnings day and just continued. Look at these multiple outside Bollinger Band closes to confirm and cement this higher RSI above 70. Absolutely stupendous. The peak is still from February at 230. Here we are at 198. Personally, for me, a little bit getting too high for my blood. I would say right here at about personally, I was going to say 180 to 190 top. So I don't love chasing it here at 198. Today could be the start of the run. It actually tagged 209, and then it started going lower and actually closed at 198, which is the low of the day essentially. So I do think this starts to make a visit over the next 2 weeks or so to about 155. So it sounds crazy, but I do think foot off the gas in red. I think you're going to see some red days. It was kind of reminiscent of kind of what we saw on Coinbase. I'll get to that chart in a few minutes about saying there's just a lot of air pockets and it can come out fast or it can come out slowly. And Reddit, I'm just suspecting these candles tell me it's formation in about 2 weeks or so. I am not shocked one bit at all. This is talking 155. So if you're ballsy, you could do put spreads. I would go out to you could do September. I'm overall bullish the name, but short term, the next 2 weeks, I do think there's a drawdown. You could sell the 200 calls. You could also buy the, you could buy the 35 delta puts or the 60 delta puts, depending on how much you really think this is going to move. But I do think this does tread lower over the next 2 weeks. So that's a possible trade in Reddit. Okay. It has been, just again, full disclosure, it's been an absolute tear over the past 5 days. It's been the best stock. And I usually am only a trend trader, hence the name of the show. But I do think there's just a little bit of air pocket in that, and I want to revisit those levels. But the best stock out of, real stocks, not $5 computing names, is Reddit, up 37% over the past 5 days, or roughly 7% a day. Today, potentially reversal of that trend, down to 1%. I think it's of note. Rocket, I was on the Spaces today with Straza and the JC and the boys for a little bit today, and we were talking about Rocket, and they love this play, and I do too. And this is, I think, the way to play real estate now. There's a bit of a freeze, a little bit of a thawing in the real estate markets. I think the way to play it, people are still playing real estate to get the diversification. They're doing it through real estate equity like this. And then, of course, there's AI tags in it and everything else. So these are mortgage, real estate, personal finance is Rocket. This is a $2.5 billion company with $5 billion revenue. So a bit of a value trap there as well. These guys had earnings, I'm showing, on July 31st. It's been the second best place to be after Reddit. These guys are up 19%, or an average of about 4% a day. Things have been looking really good after the earnings. Potentially wants to go a little bit higher, but I wouldn't chase it here. I don't think it's going to take out these highs of $21 from September imminent, but I do think there's more bullishness. So possibly 18.5, 1880, something like that. But I personally would not chase it here. Great looking stock overall. A little bit messy in terms of the 200-day. And your support back there is ultimately at 13.5. Rocket, second best place to be. And then we were preaching about this one. I want to pull up the notes for specifics. Okay, low. New all-time high today. I was pounding the table on this. I will pull up when I said it because I said stock was doing nothing. And I said, you buy a superstar when it's down. And this has been the third best stock in the entire marketplace, up 18% over the past 5 days. I put out a note on July 2nd, and I said, you buy this thing at $51. I just want to go to the charts. Technicals. So July 2nd, right there, right before the holiday. VWAP that day was $51. We said buy it. Look how many days. And folks said, well, this was at $73. Those things continue to go lower. Look at the beautiful hold of RSI. More buyers than sellers. And it absolute low was $50. Put it out at $51. And the target, by the way, when I had said that was, I said the target was 73. Okay, the target was 73, and I wanted to hold it for about 15-ish days. So that takes it to July 17th. July 17th is right there. It actually continues a little bit higher. It goes to $70, and now we're at 83. Now what's the setup? So wait for this to come in. I don't love chasing it right here. I think this actually had to do about $68, $69. It sounds crazy, but I think this has a little bit of a big up 10% day to day. Third best stock, new all-time high today, I understand. And also bearish confirmation. I don't have a 70 RSI here like we had for weeks back in June. So from, false moves like this come quick moves oftentimes. So I do think we're looking at 69 on this, 70. So which is a $13 move, almost 20%. That's a big, big move. Again, overall bullish. You could do call spreads, put spreads. You could do iron condors on this. A lot of things pop out. You could sell the 85 calls. This is high vol, so everything pays. You could buy the 70 puts. Be careful. Lots of things. I'll have to check the liquidity of the option chain for September if that's even listed. But again, really stupendous chart. New all-time highs for Oklo. This stock is no joke. And again, last September, this was a $5 stock, 83 today. Trend continues, new all-time high. All right. Top 3 losers of the past 5 days. These have been the worst places to be. So I'm guessing a lot of big earnings losers. Confluent, down 37%. Today, flat. They had earnings, and they got absolutely just decimated, down 33%. Confluent, these guys are the software, something in tech, data streaming platform. They are a $6 billion company on $1 billion revenue. Boy, so these guys peaked back in February at $38. The 200-day moving average is kind of a brick wall at 26. It was getting a little bit of a recovery just this past week of earnings, and boom, right to new 52-week lows of $16. I don't like this one. I think this has another rough week to 2 weeks ahead. Pretty surprising collapse. I thought it would send it to a new 52-week low, but not even without much gusto. Confluent, the worst stock this week, down 37% over the past 5 days. Next is Baxter, down 20.5%. That is a big move. Again, earnings related. Baxter International, these guys are in the healthcare equipment, an $12 billion medical portfolio. They do medical products and therapies, healthcare systems, technologies, and pharmaceuticals off of $11 billion in revenue. So 1 for 1. Ugly looking chart. Peaked back here in September at $40. Had a little bit of good days in mid-Feb when I was, celebrating the Eagles Super Bowl parade, but really not since we had snow on the ground has this been anything remotely promising. New 52-week lows just a couple of days ago, $21. I think more bearishness for this over the next 10 days or so. I don't think they absolutely crush it, but this is going to take a lot of time, I think, to get back to $26. Don't love Baxter International, second worst place to be. And aforementioned Coinbase, the third worst place to be in the market, down 19%, or almost 4% a day. Today, down 6.33% is Coinbase. So this was the example, and then after this, we'll wrap up. So here was a beautiful looking chart. Here was the all-time highs. It hit $445. I'm rounding, and he got a bullish confirmation. It just looked like there was some air to get back there. And then when the market was over here with a 47 RSI at SPY, we were already getting moving towards our 50-day moving average. And then earnings come in, and then earnings ended down 17%. Not the best setup. And now we're looking at the lowest RSI for Coinbase since the day of the 52-week low back in April when it was trading $143. So now what? I said a lot. Coinbase, if you don't know anymore, it's an $80 billion company with this price, and it's off $7 billion revenue. So quite a premium given to it. Look, the 263, 265, 200-day moving average, I don't think is going to come into question. If it is, I think that's a beautiful steal, to be very frank with you. I think this base is this week. Again, today was an ugly day. The low was 297, and that's where it closed. So folks were kind of almost upset that the bell rang. They wanted to exit this. Bitcoin to me still looks great. This is obviously correlated, and equity still rip. If you have an opportunity to get to 265, you scoop it up. You may be in for a hard time for a little bit, but I love that. There have been many red days since the all-time highs. You can tell from the volume here. Red. It's only had 2 green days, and it was marginal. That was a flat day, and then the other day was up 1%. So they've really exited since 445 all the way down now to 297. I think this may have a little bit more downside, very little. Maybe that's like 285 level. You're lucky if it goes to 265. And I do think this tries to make its way to about, I really do think it probably tries to fill in that earnings gap. I think this gets to about 370. Talking to a trader about this as well. I think this gets to about 370. Might take a little bit of time, but about 3-4 weeks. When the market's roaring back towards those highs end of the month, I think Coinbase will have recovered right back and filled in that earnings gap and gotten right to about that 370. So call spreads stand out. There's a lot of things you could do with that, depending on how bullish you are on Coinbase. But Coinbase, the third worst stock. So fading some moves. Reddit, don't love chasing right here. Coinbase, I think it's setting up. All right, so top 3 trades in the past 5 days. If you've been long Reddit, short Confluent, and short Baxter, you're absolutely crushing the market. It's been the absolute best trades of the entire marketplace. All right, I will talk to you next on Friday with a ETF market recap show. Peace.